So we want...
Journalists in Mubende and Kassanda districts made their best efforts to bring timely and valuable information on the Ebola outbreak to the public since September. Armed with nothing but their pens, notebooks, cameras and computers, Fred Sewaji and Francis Xavier Nkwanga were some of the scribes updating the nation on the outbreak. This is their first time covering the Ebola outbreak. They admit it was initially a scary situation.
By the time I went to the village, that's Bulega village, where Ebola started, coming back home, I started feeling some itches on my body. Then I asked myself, what was it? My brain started thinking that maybe I had got Ebola.
The journalists struggled with the challenge of misinformation in demystifying the outbreak. A number of community members in Kassanda and Mubende regarded Ebola as the result of witchcraft and often accused journalists of working with the state to lie to the nation.
I went to one of the suspects, I went to one of the survivors, I went to one of the families that was contacted by Ebola. I got the facts about Ebola. I came back. I hosted talk shows. I had a program teaching my people about Ebola.
On October 15th, President Museveni imposed a 21-day lockdown on the districts of Mubende and Kassanda to contain the Ebola outbreak. However, on November 5th, the lockdown was extended for another 21 days. This affected movement and business in the districts, also affecting their work. For the journalists, transport was a challenge at roadblocks where they had to answer endless questions before phone calls were made to authorities to approve their movement. This cost them a lot in news deadlines.
We used to work from very far, reach deep in the village, and our bosses expected 3 stories in a day. Like an example, in Imadudu, it's very far from Mubende town. So reaching there, the body is very weak. You have to stand to capture or to record. So it was a very, very tough moment.
Now for it, I had to eat hard foods like chapati that can last in stomach for long. For lunchtime, we did not have time. For the supper, we did not have what to eat because there was no way where we can buy it.
The job of a journalist has also come at the cost of stigma. Neighbors did not want to associate with them, giving rise to names like Mr. Ebola.
Whenever I come back to the shrine, they used to hide themselves. So I felt like neglected. I felt isolated. Yet, before Ebola, we used to share.
Despite the challenges, the journalists have no regrets about the job. Instead, they hold pride in lessons learned and experience gained.